Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence had some comments to say about the atmosphere at Arrowhead, and while I disagree, thankfully the Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, who currently has the highest career passer rating in playoff history with 105.7. Number 2, Mr. Bart Starr, the OG, at 104.8. So, Jacksonville's pretty cool. I will admit to it. Trevor Lawrence is a cool guy. He's got this nonchalant attitude. But, considering they played earlier this season in Kansas City, I'm not quite sure what he was talking about as far as the stadium noise goes. As far as I'm concerned, Kansas City is the loudest place to play in general, but let alone the playoffs. And, Kansas City's coming off a bye week. I know Mecole Hardman was a tough out, but I'm still going with the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to talk about why in tonight's video. So before we do, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button if you guys enjoy it. Post Chiefs content a couple of times a week along with daily NFL videos. Chiefs Kingdom, if we could get this video to 250 likes, that would be absolutely awesome. But I don't know. A lot of people are calling for a Jacksonville Jaguar upset. I'm not quite sold on that. I know the game was quote-unquote close a couple of months ago when Jacksonville came and visited Kansas City in the regular season. But if you watch the game, if you watch the film, not really. It's not really. But anyways, Jacksonville, they do have a chip on their shoulder. They just came back from a crazy deficit against the Los Angeles Chargers. This was a team that was 4-8. They have not lost in quite some time, almost 2 months now, and they have nothing to lose. Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, they've come out and said this several times this week. There's nothing really on the line. They've already exceeded expectations for a team that started 4-8. Making the playoffs in general is a win of its own, and then that it was an impressive come from behind victory. But when we go back to that Week 10 victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I really don't think Kansas City was firing on all cylinders at that point in the season. We know this defense can make plays when they need to make plays. We know they can force turnovers when they need to. We know their offense is ranked number 1. We know this team was statistically the best offense in the National Football League. The Chiefs in that game against Jacksonville, they had 3 turnovers. Wasn't too much pressure at all on Patrick Mahomes. That's a weakness for the Jacksonville Jaguars. There were explosive plays all day for Kansas City, and Trevor Lawrence just really wasn't that great. And the score, a little just doesn't, it was 27-17. Trevor Lawrence did have a touchdown in garbage time. So I'm not quite sold on the Jacksonville Jaguars upset. And I think it's going to come down simply to not only, obviously offense and defense are a huge deal for Kansas City. If the defense can get stops, they'll win that game. All I know is this. You can't throw 4 interceptions against the Kansas City Chiefs defense and expect to win that football game. They have playmaker after playmaker on the offensive side. It was Justin Herbert's first playoff game. It was a young Chargers team, not a great head coach. Even guys like Jerick McKinnon. He has 6 straight games with a receiving touchdown. That's the longest streak by a running back in the Super Bowl era. Now, at this point in time, we're about less than 24 hours away from this football game. So to me, the 2 things, and we've talked about one of these things for all week, talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, it's going to come down to the turnover margin. Once again, Jacksonville was a -5 against the Los Angeles Chargers, and that simply isn't going to get the job done. Because what Kansas City is going to do is they're going to score touchdowns. All right? They're going to score touchdowns. They're not going to settle for field goals all game. Even if there's a handful of field goals, they're going to get plenty of touchdowns. All right? The Chiefs' offense is ranked number 1 for good reason, and the defense has been improving week after week. It's a very underrated defense. They have a lot of young players on this defense that are stepping up and making plays. We've talked about Justin Reid coming out and saying, you guys aren't rookies anymore. You've had a whole season of regular season football under your belt. You're no longer rookies. It's time to step up. It's time to make plays, learn from your mistakes, and let's go get some stops. The defense comes in ranked at number 12. Now, in the AFC, I guess with the remaining football teams, the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals over on the other side of the AFC divisional playoffs, 12 isn't necessarily great because Buffalo comes in at number 2 and Cincinnati comes in at number 6. But once again, the defense makes plays when they need to make plays. So I have a strong feeling that I know Patrick Mahomes, although he's had some turnovers, he's thrown some interceptions on the season, I have a strong inclination that they are going to play offensively a clean football game and they're going to force some turnovers for Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's step number 1. Now, number 2 comes down to the special teams. All right, we know the special teams has been brutal all season. In fact, they rank dead last. The Kansas City Chiefs special teams ranks dead last in the National Football League. That is not great. Harrison Butker, he has been struggling a little bit as of late or just in the season in general. But when we go back and we look at last year, specifically this time last year in that AFC divisional game against the Buffalo Bills, what did Harrison do? He stepped up. He's an OG. He's a veteran. I'm not worried about any past issues, past mistakes. I have a strong feeling that the Kansas City Chiefs kicking unit, as far as Harrison is concerned, is going to get the job done. He's hit just 75% of his attempts this season, but don't let the statistics fool you. He's going to come ready to play. Now, there's a good reason the special teams ranks 32nd. The kickoff return team is 29th in yards per return, which is not a great statistic. The punt return unit, to me, is the very big difference maker. It's a big question mark. You've had guys like Kadarius Toney with a recent punt return fumble, giving up the ball, putting your opposing team inside the 10-yard line. You've also had Sky Moore. No Mecole Hardman, but Mecole has received some punts so far on the year. They combined for 5 fumbles as a punt return unit. That is not going to work for me. If the Kansas City Chiefs have a punt return fumble, I won't necessarily hit the panic button because we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in playoff games, win close ones that they've made plenty of mistakes in. But 5 combined fumbles, that's not a good statistic. 4 of those the team lost, and you're essentially putting your opponent right there in red zone territory, and that's not going to work for me. So I anticipate all bye week and the last 2 weeks in general, and even just the last 6 to 8 weeks for Kansas City special teams. They've been working hard on this. So I've got Kansas City, although I do think it's going to be a little bit closer than anticipated. I do have the Chiefs advancing. So let me know what you guys are thinking. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let me know what you guys are thinking as far as predictions are concerned for tomorrow, and I will see you guys later.